sleep though. Feds follow nigga in street clothes. Hoes ain't sticking to the G code. Suck a nigga dick if people charge me though. I'm sleep though. Click, clack, bang, bang, and reload. Oh, set a nigga up for the kilo. I leave, maybe I'm crazy, no CeeLo. I'm sleep though. Deep underground ETs though. Bernie Mac, mental, rest in peace though. Found make 28, well we know. Nigga, what you talking about? Talk is talk, and do is do shit people talk about. Nothing to argue about. How must I remind ya? I don't wear designer, no genre attire. Monsanto was all up inside your vagina, tampons, panty liners, yeah. Gender blur got the kids all confused. Teaching sex ed in preschool. Designer babies in the womb. Stars shining through the moon. But I'm sleep though. Chemtrail clouds, I'm sleep though. Fluoride water, I'm sleep though. Acid rain down, I'm sleep though. Diabetes soda, I'm sleep though. New world order, I'm sleep though. Wrong damn modified beef though. Wi-Fi cooking nigga in sleep though. Put him in it. 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 Put him
I come merchant, I was just scared as hell. Nigga was driving for forever. Look me in my eyes, said, nigga, you gon' die. The fuck? Mama, come here. Mama, come here. Hurry up. Check it out. Fuck the world, mama. Suck the dick.
Round 4. Going down. Lower ground 4.
Oh, look who's here. How are you?
Dr. Forrest, dial 118, please. Dr. Forrest, please dial. Hello.
R-E-N. Accessible.
clouds on sleep though. Anthem rain down on sleep though. Fluoride water on sleep though. New world order on sleep though. Diabetes soda on sleep though. Clone and modified beef though. Heavy metals all in drink though. Wi-Fi cooking nigga in sleep though. Put him in it. 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 FEMA coffin. Yeah. People watching. Yeah. Count sheet. Yeah. Niggas sleepwalking. All these dead riders.
All right, how's everybody doing this evening? Welcome to this evening's episode of We've Read the Documents. Tonight I'm going to read an excerpt from James Patterson's and John Connolly with Tim Malloy's Filthy Rich, the Billionaire Sex Scandal, the Shocking True Story of Jeffrey Epstein. In preparation of us diving into the Virginia Giuffre, formerly known as Virginia Roberts, and Alan Dershowitz lawsuit. But tonight we're going to go over a brief chapter which I think is important in all this. So let me get started. Here's my copy of it. I got it at Barnes & Noble. It was on sale when I got it. So we're going to read from the Masonic chapter number 66. Experts from the deposition of Alan Dershowitz. October 15th, 2015. 9:46 a.m. Question. In an interview with Hala Gorani on January 5th of this year, broadcast on CNN Live, you said, "I have a superb memory." Do you acknowledge having made that statement? Answer by Dershowitz. I have a superb memory, so I must have made that statement. My mother had an extraordinary memory, and when I was in college and I was on the debate team, my mother allowed me to debate on the Sabbath, which was the Jewish rest day, only on the condition that I not take notes or write. And at that point, I discovered that I have a very good memory, and I generally didn't have to take notes. My memory, obviously, at the age of 77, has slipped a bit. But do I have a very good memory? Yes. 10:18 a.m. Question. Which of my clients are you swearing under oath encouraged Virginia Roberts to include allegations of an encounter with you at the New Mexico ranch? Answer. Both of them. Both of your clients, both Judge Casil and Mr. Edwards, were both involved in encouraging their client to file a perjurious affidavit that they knew or should have known was perjurious recently when they sought to file another defamatory allegation in the federal proceeding. Question. Was the arrangement such that what you're charging Bradley Edwards and Professor Paul Casil with doing was subverting perjury? Answer. Absolutely. If you ask me the question, I'm directly charging Judge Casil and Bradley Edwards with subverting perjury. I have been advised that Virginia Roberts did not want to mention me, told her friends that she did not want to mention me, and was, quote, pressured by her lawyers into including these false allegations against me. Yes, your clients are guilty of subverting perjury. Question. Who told you that Bradley Edwards pressured Virginia Roberts into falsely identifying you? Answer. A friend of Virginia Roberts, who called me out of the blue and told me she was horrified by what was happening to me and that she recently had meetings with Virginia Roberts and Virginia Roberts had told her that she never mentioned me previously, that the lawyers pressured her into mentioning me and mentioning me over her desire not to mention me. Yes. 10:20 a.m. Question. What was the name of the person? Answer. Her first name was Rebecca. Question. Yes. Answer. I did not know the last name. Question. Did you attempt to find out her last name? Answer. I have her last name written down, but... Question. Where? It's in my notes, and I could get it for you. Question. Where did you write Rebecca's name down? Answer. When she first called me. Let me be very clear, since you've asked me the question. At first her husband and she called me on the phone. They would not give me their names, but they told me the story. We had a series of phone conversations in which I asked them please to tell me their names, And after a period of time, after they told me the story in great detail, she was willing to give me her name. She asked me to promise that I would not disclose her identity without her permission. I've been trying to call her. Called her recently as this morning and last night. I want to recall, I don't think I called her this morning. I called her twice last night to try to get her permission to reveal her complete name and identity. But I have the name. I'll be happy to give it to you. I just don't have it off the top of my head. 10:23 a.m. Question. Would you tell us how many phone conversations you had with this person, Rebecca? Answer. More than 6. Probably between 6 and 10. Maybe closer to 10. The first few times she called me, and after I got their number, I called her a number of times. Question. What is her husband's name? Answer. Michael. Different last names from hers, but again. Question. Where do they live? Answer. Palm Beach or West Palm Beach, in the Palm Beach area. They have been friends of Virginia Roberts since she was a young child. Question. Were there any witnesses to any of the phone conversations other than Rebecca, Michael, and you? Answer. Yes. Question. Who? Answer. My wife. Question. When did the first conversation occur? Answer. I could probably get you specific information about that, but it was months ago, when the story was in the newspaper. She called and related the entire story to me, and related to me that was part of a massive extortion plot. 10:25 a.m. Question. Did you take contemporaneous notes on the phone conversations? Answer. No, I took note of names, but not really notes of substance. No. Question. Have you ever made notes with regard to the substance of any communications that you allegedly had with Rebecca and or Michael? Answer. I didn't allegedly have these conversations. I had these conversations, and I don't recall taking notes of these conversations. 10:44 a.m. Question. How many phone calls did you have with this person, Rebecca, before she informed you to as the reason why she was calling you? Answer. She informed me the first time. Question. The very first conversation? Answer. Yes. Question. How many phone calls was it before she asked you for money? Answer. She never asked me for money. Question. How many phone calls was it before her husband asked you for money? Answer. I was never asked for money. Ever. Question. Do you know how it is that these people knew how to contact you? Answer. They told me that they went to my website and got my number and left a message for me to call. Yeah, that's what happened. Oh no. They went on my website and sent me an email and asked me, and the email had a blank name, but a way to respond. And so I responded with my phone number, and they called, is my recollection. That's my best recollection. 10:45 a.m. Question. So from the very first conversation that you had with this person, you had information indicating that this person was informing you that Bradley Edwards had engaged in unethical conduct, correct? Answer. Let me just be very clear what she said to me. She said to me that she had been told directly by her friend Virginia Roberts, who stayed with her overnight for a period of time, that she never wanted to mention me in any of the pleadings, and that her 2 lawyers in the pleadings, or her lawyers who filed the pleadings, pressured her into including my name and details. Question. Did Rebecca ever suggest to you that the details sworn to by Virginia Roberts was false? Answer. She certainly suggested that, yes. She mentioned to me that Virginia Roberts had never ever mentioned me to her among any of the people that she had any contact with until she was pressured into doing so by her lawyers, yes. Question. So from what the very first conversation, the impression you had was that this was a witness who could provide information that Bradley Edwards and Paul Cassil had acted unethically and dishonestly, correct? Answer. I wasn't sure she could provide the information because she was very reluctant to come forward. She didn't want to be involved, but I knew she had provided me with information, yes. But I didn't know, and I still don't know, whether she's prepared to be a witness. I don't know the answer to that question. 11:08 a.m. Question. Was any request made by you for a meeting? Answer. Yes. Question. Let me back up then, if I could please, but what I want you to do, based on your superb memory, is to tell us in much detail as you possibly can recall everything that was said. Answer. I'm not sure the request for the meeting came in the first call or the second call. The first call was basically, I'd really like to talk to your wife, Rebecca, about this. I'm happy to fly down. I'm happy to talk to you on the phone, and we left it that they would think that he would ask her to think about it. And then I could call back in a few days and find out what her current feelings were. Question. Where were you where you received this phone call, or when you made this phone call? Sorry. Answer: I think I was in New York. Question: do you know whether the phone call was made on a cell phone or a landline? Answer: I don't remember. Question: have you attempted to gather your telephone records for purposes of responding to discovery's requests in this case? Answer: I left that to my lawyers. I know that we did produce telephone records during the relevant periods of time where Virginia Roberts knew Jeffrey Epstein, and those telephone records established that I could not have been at locations and at times that Virginia Roberts falsely claimed to have had sexual contact with me. Question: I promise you we're going to get those. Answer: good. Question: promise you, along with all the flight logs that you claim exonerate you. 11:11 a.m. Question: let's go to the very second contact that you had with either Michael or Rebecca. Who initiated the second contact? Answer: I think I did. I called and got Michael on the phone. Question: where did you call from? Answer: I think New York. Question: tell me as much detail as your superb memory allows you to recall everything that was said during the course of that phone conversation. Dershowitz's lawyer aside. Let's object to the form and the continued use of the word superb. He's described his memory. That's your characterization. Go ahead. Question: no, I think that was Mr. Dershowitz's characterization, which I have adopted. Dershowitz's lawyer aside. Okay, go ahead. Answer: I called, spoke to Michael. I asked Michael if he had spoken to his wife. She said yes, and she was still reluctant to talk to me. Question: I'm sorry, she said yes. When you asked Michael if he had spoken to his wife? Answer: he said yes, and that she was still reluctant to talk to me. I suggested to him that perhaps she could talk to me briefly just so that she hears what I have to say, and he could listen and remain on the phone, and she could stop at any time she wanted. And there came a time during the conversation when she did get on the phone, and here's what she told me. She said she had grown up with Virginia Roberts, that they were very, very close friends as young people, that Virginia Roberts came to stay with her for a number of days, I think it was over Halloween, and they had gone out and had dinner, just the two of them, and that she confided in her. Virginia Roberts confided in Rebecca that she had never wanted to mention me in any of the pleadings, but she was pressured by a lawyer in doing so. Rebecca then said that I was not the object of this effort. The object of this effort was a billionaire who lives in Columbus, Ohio, and who owns Victoria's Secret and Limited Too. Rebecca told me she did not know the name of the billionaire, but that Virginia and her lawyers hoping to get $1 billion, B-I-L-L-I-O-N, $1 billion or half of his net worth, from him by alleging that he had improperly engaged in sexual misconduct with Virginia Roberts. That money would be divided three ways: a third of it to Virginia Roberts, a third of it to a charity that she had her lawyers were setting up for battered women, and a third of it to the lawyers themselves. She told me that they were trying to get ABC News to interview Virginia Roberts so as to give her credibility in order to pressure the billionaire from Columbus, Ohio, into paying a large sum of money, and that I was named as an effort to try to show the billionaire what could happen to someone if they were accused of sexual misconduct, and that would encourage them to settle a lawsuit or pay money in exchange for his name not being mentioned or revealed. I had no idea about this, and I didn't ask about this. She just stated this, and then I corroborated the fact that she was absolutely correct in everything she had stated to me. Question: you corroborated the fact that she was absolutely correct in everything that she had stated to you? Answer: that's right. Question: how? Answer: okay, let me answer that question. I wasn't sure, so I called Leslie Wexner. I got his wife on the phone, Abigail Wexner. Obviously, I knew that the only billionaire in Columbus, Ohio who owned Limited Too and who owned Victoria's Secret was Leslie Wexner. I had met Leslie Wexner on 2 occasions, I think, and his wife. I called Abigail on the phone and I said, I think you ought to know that there's an extortion plot being directed against your husband by unscrupulous lawyers in Florida. And she said, oh, we're aware of that. They've already been in contact with us, which surprised me. But her statement was confirmation of that. I can't give you the chronology of that. I then was in touch with ABC and found out she was absolutely correct about her efforts to try to get interviewed on ABC television. In fact, I learned that your client, Brad Edwards, had sent a communication to people in the area urging them to watch her interview that was scheduled to be on 3 television programs. If I'm not mistaken, it was the Good Day Show, The Evening News, and the show Nightline. I was then in communication with ABC and helped to persuade them that they would be putting false information on the air if they allowed Virginia Roberts to tell her false story. So I was able to corroborate that. I then also corroborated the fact that she had never mentioned to me when her boyfriend appeared on television and publicly stated that she had never mentioned me in any of her descriptions of people who she had sexual contact with. So I was then completely satisfied that Rebecca was telling me the complete truth, and that, in my view, there was an extortion plot directed against Leslie Wexner, a criminal extortion plot directly against Leslie Wexner, and that your clients were involved in that extortion plot. 11:30 a.m. Question. Let's see if we can make sure that we're understanding one another, sir. Do you recognize that there's a distinction between Virginia Roberts having met you, having been sexually abused by you on multiple occasions, by not wanting to name you, as opposed to Virginia Roberts not having met you and not having been sexually abused by you? Are those two things different in your mind? Answer. Not in the contents of this case, because Virginia Roberts said that she was going to seek justice from everybody that had abused her. And if she did not want to name me, I think the inference is inescapable, that I was not among those people that she had any sexual contact with. So that was certainly the inference I drew. 11:35 a.m. Who are the people that Rebecca says Virginia had previously told her that Virginia was abused by? Answer. I never asked her that question. Question. Did you ask her, was Les Wexner one of the people that abused Virginia? Answer. I told you I never asked her that question. Question. Are you aware the years before December of 2014, when the CVRA pleading was filed, that your name had come up repeatedly in connection with Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of minors? Correct? Answer. I am aware that never before 2014, end of December, was it ever alleged that I acted in any way inappropriately with regard to Virginia Roberts, that I ever touched her, that I ever met her, that I had ever been with her. I was completely aware of that. There had never been any allegation. She claims under oath that she told you that secretly in 2011, but you have produced no notes of any such conversation. You, of course, are a witness to this allegation and will be deposed as a witness to this allegation. I believe it's entirely false allegation that she told you in 2011 that she had any sexual contact with me. I think she's lying through her teeth when she says that, and I doubt that your notes will reveal any such information. But if she did tell you that, she would be absolutely categorically lying. So I'm completely aware that never, until the lies were put in the legal pleading at the end of December 2014, it was never alleged that I had any sexual contact with Virginia Roberts. I know that it was alleged that I was a witness to Jeffrey Epstein's alleged abuse, and that was false. I was never a witness to any of Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse, and I wrote that to you, something that you falsely denied, and I stand on the record. The record is clear that I've categorically denied I was ever a witness to any abuse, that I ever saw Jeffrey Epstein abusing anybody. And the very idea that I would stand and talk to Jeffrey Epstein while he was receiving oral sex from Virginia Roberts, which she swore to under oath, is so outrageous, so preposterous, that even David Bowies, a prominent lawyer associated with the firm representing Virginia Roberts, said he could not believe it was true. 12:24 p.m. Question. You engaged in a mass medium campaign to convince the world that Bradley Edwards and Professor Paul Cassile were unethical lawyers who fabricated false charges against you, correct? Answer. No, that is not correct. I responded to press inquiries by telling the truth. My goal was to let the world know that Virginia Roberts' allegations against me were totally false. That these two stories appeared, as far as I can tell, in every single newspaper in the world and on every media, which is part of their plot and the plan of your clients, which is why they absurdly mentioned Prince Andrew, claiming in the most absurd way that they mentioned him because he was trying to lobby prosecutors to get a reduced sentence for Jeffrey Epstein. They obviously put Prince Andrew in there in order to get massive publicity around the world. And every media in the world practically called me, from the BBC to CBS to ABC to CNN, and I responded to lies with the truth. Question. And the truth you attempted to convey was that Bradley Edwards and Professor Paul Cassile were unethical lawyers who fabricated false charges against you, right? Answer. The truth that I intended to convey was that the charges against me were false and fabricated, that I never had any sexual contact. Question. Fabricated by whom? Answer. Please don't interrupt me. that I never had any sexual contact with Virginia Roberts because Professor Cassiel insisted on conveying to the public that he was a former judge and that he was a professor and that he was using improperly, in my view, the stationery and name of his university to add credibility to his claims. I felt that it was imperative for me to indicate that he was engaging in improper and ethical conduct. It would have been improper for me to allow his use of his credibility as a former judge, as a professor who misuses his university imprimatur. It was very important to me to attack the credibility of the messengers of the false information. And it was important for me to also remind the public that Bradley Edlers was a partner of Scott Rothstein, a man who was spending 50 years in jail for fraudulently creating a Ponzi scheme to sell Jeffrey Epstein cases that didn't exist. End of chapter. Okay. A couple things from that I want to bring up. And then I'm going to show you a couple of pictures, and we're going to look at a little bit of the look at the little bit of the case that's going on right now. So a couple of things. One, why did Alan Morton Dershowitz say that he had only talked with the Wexner, husband and wife, Leslie Wexner and his wife, twice? Why did he have their personal contact information if he's only spoke to them twice? Why did he have her phone number? Why did he feel like he could call them up out of the blue and talk with them if he's only spoken to them twice? When we know that Leslie Wexner was very good friends with Jeffrey Epstein and possible friends with Alan Dershowitz. So that doesn't make any sense. So right then and there, Dershowitz allegedly probably lied, okay? Because that doesn't make any sense in a clear blue. So that's one thing that I wanted to make note. Second, Alan Dershowitz says that every news reporter, magazine, newspaper, pretty much allegedly in the world, talked about Epstein and Dershowitz and their relationship. No, it's not that widely known, Alan. I'm sorry, that's not true. So that's two main things that I want to bring up. Of course, other than the fact that his memory is horrible, it's not superb. His alleged superb memory. And there's many times within the statements where he contradicts each other about, him not taking notes, but taking notes, allegedly, and him not, remembering things properly and everything. I mean, if you go back and listen to what I just read or read this yourself, he obviously contradicts himself multiple times. So yeah, this is what we read the documents is about. I am reading the documents. That's why it's important, because no one ever really does that. No one ever really reads the documents. They have them, they never really read them, and they certainly don't read them to you. So a couple of things that I want to bring up. First things first is this picture. I brought over the wrong thing. There we go. That is Prince Andrew. That is Virginia Roberts, also now known as Virginia Giuffre. And that is Ghislaine Maxwell. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty close picture. That isn't a picture of two people who seem like they're standoffish of each other. So, yeah, Prince Andrew did have a relationship, allegedly, with Virginia Giuffre. It's pretty much, it's right there. I'd be hard-pressed for anybody to say otherwise. That's a pretty personal photo. But, yeah, that's something that I want to make known, that it is out there for sure, that they had a relationship with one another. Now, it is alleged that Virginia Roberts was sexually molested by Alan Dershowitz. She was sexually molested by Jeffrey Epstein. She was sexually molested by Prince Andrew. She was allegedly sexually molested by Ghislaine Maxwell. Those are the claims. But, we're going to go through this, new Dershowitz case. This case of between Dershowitz, the case between Virginia, the case between Dershowitz, the case between Virginia Giuffre. We're going to go through that. And why we're going to go through it is because I think that it's important. I think it's important that, that it's brought to light, because it's not really well known by a lot of people. You hear of Epstein, but you don't really hear about Dershowitz's involvement with Epstein. So, let's go ahead. I'm not going to read any of it tonight, but this is the complaint that was filed in the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, Virginia L. Giuffre, plaintiff, versus Alan Morton Dershowitz, defendant. And we are going to, over the next couple of weeks, we are going to read this 28-page complaint, and we're going to discuss it. And it was filed on April 16th, 2019. And we are going to discuss, Jeffrey Epstein and Dershowitz, and the case, allegedly complaint, which is a civil complaint, against him and what he's being sued for. So, yeah, and we're also, throughout this, too, as well, we're going to do some streams on the life and alleged crimes of Alan Morton Dershowitz, what type of cases that he's been a part of, who he's chose to defend, his character. We are going to discuss a lot about him because it does matter. People will sit here and tell you, that a person's character does not matter. What a person's connections are, who a person is. None of that matters. It only matters what a person does or what a person says. And I think that's wholeheartedly incorrect. I mean, I understand being cautious about that because of character assassination. I understand that. But it does matter when a person's in a public light, the character of said person. If these allegations are true about Alan Morton Dershowitz, then you can't take anything he said as truthful. I mean, he's a very, very horrible, allegedly horrible man. So, if this is true in the slightest bit, I mean, look, something that, one thing that really got me was, and I misspelled Mueller because I typed it in too fast, but when you go to the Mueller report and you go to the Amazon version, okay, now this one is, the one that's released through Skyhorse Publishing. And Skyhorse Publishing they publish a lot of Dershowitz's books. And they publish a lot of Dershowitz's books. They publish a lot of conspiracy theory books, but not Roger Stone, CMP, but not all CMP too. They also publish some of Peter Dell Scott's books too, so they're kind of like a mixture of such. But who they got to write the foreword or introduction for the Mueller report is Alan Dershowitz. So yeah, if you guys are still trusting the plan, the fix is in. I mean, Alan Morton Dershowitz wrote Skyhorse Publishing's intro to the Mueller report. And I might read this. Because you guys might find it to be interesting. I won't read it tonight, but I'll read it. And we're going over Alan Dershowitz. But yeah, so the fix is in. Hashtag trust the plan. So pretty much that's it for this evening. But next week we will start going through this civil complaint of Virginia L. Giuffre versus Alan Morton Dershowitz. And we'll start going through it, and we'll start reading it, and we'll start discerning what is true, which I've already read it. I think majority of it is, and what could be backed up through what we know of the life of Alan Morton Dershowitz. So we're going to start going through Alan Morton Dershowitz's life as well. Over the next couple of weeks, over the next couple of months, this isn't something that I'm going to do like I did with the Sol Pais case. which there may be some updates about that, and I might talk about that if enough substantial evidence updates occur in the next couple of weeks. But this isn't going to be a thing where we're gonna do other streams in between this, depending on what's happening in the news and depending on what's going on. But this is what we're going to do. We've read the documents. I'm going to read the documents. We're going to read the documents together. We're going to go over the documents together, and we're going to try to discern truth from falsehood. And many people are not doing that currently in today's media realm. Most people get their information from YouTube University, and that people go on YouTube, and you have pundits just in alternative media, just like you have them on regular conventional media, the mainstream media, and they just tell you things. None of them actually really show you the documents. None of them go over the documents with you. And I'm not going to always be able to do that, but it's something that I want to do because no one's doing it, and that's what this show is about. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the stream. Please like, share, and subscribe as always. And as always, till next time, always read the documents.